No, it's not Halloween. It's red in the background for a very specific reason. You're going to find that out here in just a minute, because if you've stopped by my channel today with the hopes of checking out a brand new fragrance, brand new in terms of the last month or so, by Cartier, Pasha De Cartier's Noir Absolu, you are in luck, because that's right here. As I typically say, when it comes to a new fragrance, we're going to take a closer look at this new release to see if it's something that might pique your interest or something you might want to give a hard pass. Got that and more coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back, fragrance fans and family. And honestly, today's fragrance is going to be one of those fragrances that if you're a fragrance fan, and I mean, I'm talking like die hard, I like the scent of everything, then you're probably going to like this fragrance. It's not for everybody. If you have a single takeaway from this video today, this fragrance, this new release that we're going to be talking about, which is Pasha De Cartier Noir Absolu, it's not going to be for everyone. In fact, I got to give hats off, if I had a hat, hats off to Cartier, because they're definitely not doing what all the brands out there are doing. They're doing their own thing. There is a crowd that's really going to appreciate this fragrance, but there is a larger crowd that's probably not going to appreciate it very much. And we're going to talk about why that may be the case. But in typical form, what we're going to do though first is take a quick look at this presentation, because it is a beautiful bottle. The box is red and black. The box has kind of a matte finish. On the front, in silver lettering, it says Pasha De Cartier. Below that, Noir Absolu in a little black box. The bottle is 100 ml or 3.3 fluid ounces. The sides of the box contain no information. On the back of the box is the website, Cartier.com, and some other information. Bottom of the box has a UPC, a QR code, some additional information, including the batch code. On the top of the box in silver lettering, it simply says Cartier. On the inside flap is another QR code that says scan the QR code to live a Pasha De Cartier experience. And then that bottle. Guys, let me just tell you, it is very obvious that Cartier is a watch manufacturer, because the precision and beauty that goes into crafting their fragrance bottles is on par with someone like Lalique, who creates beautiful crystal sculptures. The bottle itself is like a dark matte lacquer finish. It has in kind of a raised glossy lettering, Pasha De Cartier in silver at the bottom. And of course the lid itself, it's a nod to that craftsmanship. On the bottom of the bottle is stamped additional information, including the batch code. When you pop open the lid does fit rather tightly and snaps into place. When you pull that off, you can see some additional craftsmanship in the atomizer and pump, which is black. Guys, without question, absolutely, this is my favorite presentation of the year. It's just a great look. And again, you can definitely tell that Cartier is a designer in terms of precision and craftsmanship. The work that goes into, you know, their finest gear, their finest watches, is definitely mimicked in the presentation, in the bottle. Presentation is definitely A++ in my book. Love it. It's one of those fragrances that the lid is rather large. When you take it off though, it looks great. Sometimes with these, when you can get a Pasha De Cartier as a tester, which I have in the past, for example, this is the original Pasha De Cartier, the Eau de Toilette. It looks like this. And so it's absolutely fine actually without the lid, but with the lid, bar none, one of the best looking presentations out there. Which is interesting that I brought up the original Eau de Toilette. Fans of Pasha De Cartier, the original, are going to like this fragrance. If you've never tried the original and you grabbed this and you smelled it and you had no frame of reference for what you're smelling, you would think this is not finished, because it's not like anything else that you've smelled out there. Now that we know what it looks like, let's go over the notes, the very few notes, at least, that are published that are in this fragrance. Okay, so we've got charred wood, and caramel. Or burnt caramel, we'll say. So charred wood, burnt caramel. Of course, there's going to be more in the fragrance than what they've published, but I'll be honest, that's pretty much what you get from the get-go. With all of the engineering and craftsmanship and finery that went into creating the fragrance, I don't know why they can't make a white aperture. It's so super easy. In a dark room or a darkened room like this, you can't see where the aperture is, you know, so you're going to spray your face or whatever, but I found it. Here it is. And we're going to show you here what it sprays like. Noir Absolu. So the atomizer is nothing outstanding, nothing like, whoa, this is a pressurized, it has an amazing touch and feel to it. It's just okay. Kind of surprising considering everything else is amazing. So, and that may be why, because you're in comparison, you've got this amazing looking bottle and this just average atomizer. I'll tell you what I think of when I first smelled this is old money. Old money, honey. If you kind of remember Intenso by Dolce & Gabbana, there's something about Noir Absolu that Intenso reminds me of. Because when I smell this, I also think of old money. And I'm not necessarily saying like old people. I'm talking about aristocracy, philanthropy, giving huge sums of money to charity, and you go visit their home and you stand in this foyer that's as big as your apartment complex or wherever your house. This feeling, this sense of not only uniqueness, but exclusiveness as well. But it also has kind of a, if you want to boil it down to just base smell, it's kind of like the end of the line for the lifespan of cigarette smoke that hangs in the air. Like when that starts to go away, and then like old leather, and then something that's slightly semi-sweet like caramel. So it does have a caramelized, albeit a burnt caramelized sensation, kind of a smooth, rough combination. And it does have that yin and yang thing, almost like light and dark as a contrast comparison going on in the scent. Now it sounds kind of complicated with just a couple of notes, and it is. It's a brilliant fragrance, very much brilliant fragrance, because it does kick into gear your imagination as to what I'm smelling. But I will tell you straight up that not everyone is going to be pleased with this fragrance, especially at first. I actually really enjoyed just the whole experience of wearing this and letting it dry down. Its classification is that of a woody gourmand fragrance. It doesn't smell gourmand, doesn't really feel gourmand. One of those fragrances that you more experience as opposed to someone, you know, sitting, giving it a review on YouTube. You're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go buy it based on that review. I'm telling you straight up, don't buy this based on this review. Before you purchase this, of course, before you purchase anything, definitely one of those sample first before you buy. Unless you're just like, your thing has always been about charred wood and burnt caramel, and then you're like, finally they released a fragrance that are my two favorite notes of all time. Then here you go, grab it up because it's amazing. So I will set this down for now, but yes, so Pasha De Cartier Noir Absolu is not going to be for everybody. For those that really like this aristocracy, this old money feel and appeal, that are all about those smoky, and when I say smoky, kind of like the sensation you get when you just drank a shot of your favorite top shelf bourbon, and you get that burn starts to go away, and you get that tingle in the back of your throat, and then it goes up through your nasal cavity into your nose, and you get the smoky kind of woody sensation, almost burnt wood sensation. Specifically in the open. In the dry down, it gets a lot more sweet, and that sweet is a density and a weight like a smoky caramel, similar to a smoky vanilla. What I thought was going to be a fragrance that was going to be a black tie, you know, upscale only, it's not necessarily at all. This is more like, again, it's the idea of money. It's the idea, and I don't mean necessarily money as in riches. You probably know people that aren't rich. They like the finer things in life, so even if it's just a few items that they have, they're very expensive or very valuable. That's what this is for people who appreciate the finer thing, the finer subtleties in fragrance. It's something you want to wear more in cooler weather. It's not for high heat or summer days necessarily. It's for cool summer nights. It's definitely not something I would necessarily wear on a first date, possibly second or third, maybe as you get to know the person and as they get to know you. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is this. This fragrance is a very unique, standalone, niche-like fragrance from a designer. Pretty cool from that standpoint. And for people that are collectors and watch collectors, you'll really love this presentation. This retails for about $138, $140 plus as a new release. It's about standard fare for new release costs. It will drop drastically over time, but it may take a bit of time for that to happen. Well guys, that's it for my first impressions of this release. I am actually in many ways very impressed with Pasha De Cartier Noir Absolu. I think it is a gem of a fragrance for very specific reasons, and I hope that I've clearly let you know what those reasons are so that you can decide whether you want to dive deeper, learn more about it, grab a sample, or even just purchase it. Otherwise, that's a wrap on today's first impressions. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out my quick overview of Pasha De Cartier Noir Absolu. As always, thank you so much for your continued support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video review.